What's up, guys? So today I wanted to talk about Dispatch. So if you haven't heard about this is a game made by former Telltale devs, the people who made The Wolf Among Us, The Walking Dead, and Tales of the Borderlands. They left Telltale and founded their own studio called Ad Hoc Studio. Since they worked on these heavily story-based, decision-based games, that's exactly what they did with Dispatch. And honestly, I think what they've done here so far is really good. It's some really good stuff. I played the first 2 episodes yesterday and it's amazing. I've heard nothing but good things as well. Now, the premise of this game is that you're playing as Robert Robertson, also known as Mecha Man. Yes, Robert Robertson, you heard that right. He's a superhero who fights in a giant mech suit, but after his suit is destroyed in a pretty big fight, SDN, or Superhero Dispatch Network, comes and gives him an offer. He comes and works for them, dispatches heroes, and they'll rebuild his mech suit. So essentially what they want him to do is sit at a desk all day and dispatch superheroes, or specifically in his case right now, dispatch supervillains turned superheroes. He's essentially just the guy in the earpiece, right? The guy directing them toward crimes, trying to help them out, trying to help them solve specific crimes. Sounds easy and very simple, but the fact that these are supervillains turned superheroes, or at least they're trying to become superheroes, that in and of itself is a lot more complicated than just directing superheroes to crimes. Now that sounds simple and very straightforward, maybe even boring, but you're not actually sitting at the desk the entire game, okay? That would be absolutely terrible. That would be really boring. Even though I think the gameplay element of this game is actually a lot more fun and a lot more what's engaging, right? A lot more engaging than I thought it would be. There is an emphasis on the gameplay, but I think there's even more of an emphasis on the characters and the dialogue options and things like that. Of course, being a Telltale game, gameplay is not, a priority. It's always going to be the weakest point in the game. So with that being the case all the time, everything else has to really, really stand out. And I think they did a really good job with that, especially so far. So if you recall, Telltale games, typically they released one part, right? It might be like an hour and a half, 2 hour episode. Then they wait another like 2 or 3 months to release the next part. Here, they're not doing that. They actually release it every week. They have 2 episodes per each week. We just got episodes 1 and 2 on Wednesday, October 22nd. So the following week, the 29th, Wednesday, we're going to have another 2 episodes. The following week, another 2 episodes, and the following week, another 2 episodes, making for a total of 8 episodes. The first 2 episodes were about 45 minutes each episode, and apparently that's going to be the same length for pretty much all of the episodes. So for each batch of episodes, it's like an hour and a half, maybe a little longer, depending on how long you play. Or I guess I should say depending on how you play. And yeah, again, what they have here so far is really good. They have a really stacked cast with a lot of different people. I think a lot of range. You got Laura Bailey, Aaron Paul, Jeffrey Wright, Jacksepticeye, Moist Critical, Alana Pierce, Aaron Yvette. You got a lot of people. You got a whole cast of people. And all of them so far have been doing such a great job. And in terms of the characters themselves, again, they have a really good thing here going on. Pretty much as soon as you're thrown into the game, I think you get pretty attached to the characters, I'd say. They're really likable. They're easy to like. There's a whole roster of characters that you meet, but there's really an emphasis on like 4 characters, I'd say. Those being Robert Robertson, Chase, which is Robert's friend, who also works at SDN, Blonde Blazer, and Invisigal. As of right now, those 4 characters have the most emphasis on them. You see them the most, you interact with them the most, and like I said, again, those interactions are just great. They're so real yet so over the top at the same time, but there's a good balance in between. The writing, the humor, all of it is just great. And really what I came out of this game, I guess feeling, or how I came out of this game feeling, was that there's just certain things, right? Certain forms of media, whether it be video games or movies or TV shows, where you just feel a certain way, right? Like you might feel attached to these characters, you might really resonate with some of these characters, perhaps. I guess one of the biggest games as of right now that most people might feel this way about is Cyberpunk. How you feel attached to the characters, the world, the lore. That's how I feel about Dispatch already, and that's crazy given the fact that I've only played the game for an hour and a half. If this continues on, then this could definitely be one of the best choice-based games out there. I was about to say one of the best Telltale games, but technically they're not Telltale anymore, so can't say that. And also, I guess I should mention, along with the gameplay of you sitting at the desk dispatching the heroes and whatnot, there's also, quick time events when you're out in the field, for example. Spoilers in case you haven't watched or played the game, but if you've played, for example, the Batman Telltale games, you know how when he's out in the field and he's actually fighting people, taking down people, you have quick time events to actually do that where, because you can't actually fight people in the game, it's not like the Arkham games or anything. Instead, as Batman is running at somebody, you might have to press X to follow through with a punch or something like that. They have that same thing here in Dispatch, where you're as Mecha Man and you get into a pretty big fight. You have a bunch of quick time events, and if you miss some of these quick time events, then you might take some damage, you might miss a punch or something like that. So again, it's not all you just sitting at a desk and dispatching heroes. If you loved any of the Telltale games, if you love any of the other decision-based games out there like Life is Strange, for example, then you're no no doubt gonna love this. The only ones I've played are Batman the Telltale series and Life is Strange, so I can't really speak too much on the other games like Tales of the Borderlands and Walking Dead, though I have heard only good things about those games, as well as The Wolf Among Us, of course. The anticipation and wait for The Wolf Among Us Season 2 is just, it's insane. But if you're waiting on that, then this is definitely a game that I don't even want to say could hold you over. This is a game that can just, I guess, feed that anticipation completely. What I've heard from people who've played the other Telltale games, right, The Wolf Among Us, Tales of the Borderlands, The Walking Dead, it seems like Dispatch is kind of like a mix of all of those games. So if you like all of those games, then again, no doubt you're gonna love this game. They probably took some of the different aspects like the humor and dialogue and character development, things like that, put it into this game. Although I don't think any other game had the humor and dialogue this game had, because it's completely out of pocket, but I love it for that. Like, someone I know just had an absolute great time on this, Laura Bailey. She definitely had the time of her life on this role, bro. In terms of how the game is performing, like numbers wise, apparently it did reach #1 on Steam's, I don't think most anticipate, I think it was just #1 for like a day, then I think it dropped to #2 under Battlefield 6, I should say. And overall, now the game actually has a lot of hype. From a year ago, like when, well, actually not even a full year ago, the game was revealed at the Game Awards last year. There was some talks about it, nothing too crazy, and I think once the demo came out, people started to realize it. The hype started to pick up a little bit more, but now I think people are really realizing what this game is, what it's about, and that it has a lot of potential. So chances are, especially with this game being a weekly release thing, that the hype is going to stay around up until the very end. If it's still at #2 right now, then chances are it's going to drop a little lower. I don't know if it's going to go below like top 5, top 10, but chances are it will pick back up once the new episodes release. It takes about a week, so a lot could happen in a week. But regardless of that, it's not about the numbers, it's about whether or not the game is actually good, and it seems like it is. It seems like people are having fun with it, people are enjoying it, and really that's all that matters. And I think that's all that matters to the developers, and I'm sure they see the reception online. I'm seeing a lot about this game again, so yeah, congrats to them. Good job to them, because they really did their thing here. I don't really know how things went down with these developers who went and formed Ad Hoc Studio. I don't know how it went down with them in Telltale, but I heard it wasn't like the best situation. But anyway, regardless, they formed their own thing, and it seems like they got a really good thing going on. So again, props to them, and good luck to them in the future, because again, they're doing a really good job here. I hope they continue on. We truly need more of these decision-based games. We kind of went on a streak, over the course of some years with these games, and then it really just died down. Like throughout the 2010s, we got a lot of these games, right? Life is Strange, we got multiple Life is Strange games. We got Tales of the Borderlands, the Batman Telltale series, The Wolf Among Us, The Walking Dead. That streak lasted up until around 2017, 2018, I think. And after that, things kind of died down. We didn't really get many of these games anymore. Life is Strange Double Exposure, I think, was probably the last game that came out, or sorry, the most recent game that came out like last year, right? Life is Strange True Colors came out back in 2021. Life is Strange 2 was back in 2018. Again, that's like a month, not even monthly, but like 2 or 3 month thing where they release it every 2 or 3 months. So I think that lasted until around 2019. So yeah, it seems like maybe we can really get back into the groove of things in terms of these decision-based games, because despite what many people may say with these being just like shows or movies, like people say this might as well just be a Netflix series or something like that, despite all of that, despite that kind of theme of thinking, there's definitely a want for these games, there's definitely a desire for these games, and I mean, I don't think that's really going to go away. I just recalled games I forgot to mention in terms of like the decision-based games and choice-based games. Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, right? Quantic Dream. How could I forget they're one of the biggest developers to do games like that? Detroit Become Human was also in 2018. How could I forget that? 2018, man, the year of 2018. Crazy year for gaming. But yeah, this is a video I wanted to make just because I'm having a lot of fun with this game. Or I guess I should say I had a lot of fun with this game, right? We still have like 4 days to go until episodes 3 and 4. And I think there's just a lot of potential to be had with this game, with this potential series. We're still a long ways away from the story ending, from this from the end, right? So we have no clue on whether or not this game could have a sequel or maybe a season 2, because that's kind of how they used to do things at Telltale. But as of right now, with how things are looking, I really do think that there's potential for it, right? If not a season 2, then a sequel of some sorts that maybe brings in a new character or a new roster of characters, excuse me. But I'm liking these characters so far a lot, so I think they should try to keep them around a little longer. With each batch of episodes being about an hour and a half, maybe a little longer, we're looking at probably like 12, 13 hours of story, and I think we need a little more than that, right? I'm sure we're all gonna want more at the end of the game. But yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've played Dispatch, let me know what you're thinking so far, how you feeling about it. But yeah, if you're kind of on the fence about this game, I'd say give it a try. Like if you're thinking about buying it, I say just do it. It's $30, not a full of $60 or $70. If you're on the fence, chances are you know that the game isn't gameplay heavy. It's more geared toward like dialogue choosing and quick time events, decision making. So just go in with an open mind. I think you'll definitely be pleased with your purchase. But yeah, that's all from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If so, like it up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.